Oh, you caught me swiping left. Well, today on Fruitful Sex, I will be talking about dating apps and if it's right for you. So, first off, let's just see how many people are being successful on a dating app. There are thousands of people on the dating app. And on the whole, how many dates are you getting? The bottom line is there are certain things that you should start to look for. First of all, let's look at the pictures. So, if a guy, for example, has pictures with himself and he has four pictures and two of them are him drinking, may not be the guy that you want to settle down with. And if you're on my channel, you're probably looking for a meaningful relationship. Because if you're just looking for a party and a good time, then there's a lot of other channels out there. Okay. So let's keep it into perspective. We're looking for the one. Okay. A guy that we're looking for a future with. So, next thing to look at, if there is a picture with him and seven guys and you don't know which one it is, swipe left because the um, requirements on the dating site is you clearly have to be in the picture. You can't be amongst 7 or 10 people and then you don't know which who is who. Also, if a guy has his hat down, sunglasses, swipe left. He's hiding something. Okay? That's another requirement. You're not allowed to hide your identity, who you are. I mean, if a guy just puts a sunrise there, it's a different story if he doesn't put a picture at all. I can respect that. And I may be consider entertaining that, okay, depending on you what he writes and how he responds. But if he's hiding his identity, there could be a reason. Maybe he's married, maybe he's in a relationship. So then let's talk about what type of dating app do you want to be on. So now there are dating apps where you can enter your location. That to me could be problematic because now a person can narrow down where you are. And if you're the beauty in the neighborhood, all he has to do is go in your neighborhood and show your picture. And next thing he knows, the street that you live on, which could be dangerous. Also, keep in mind when you're on a dating site, you don't know who's on the other end. Okay. There's some people that go on these sites just for entertainment value, they are just wasting time. So ladies, whatever you do, do not spend 4 6 months chatting with a guy that doesn't want to meet you because he's wasting your time. If you end up wanting to meet up with somebody, go in a public place. Do not, ladies, go in his house. You asking for a problem. It's very dangerous. Do not go into a man's house. I don't care if it's 4 in the afternoon. You don't know who's in there. It's very dangerous. I don't care if you think that he's the one and you've been texting him for 7 months and you think you can trust him. You don't know who that person is. That person technically still is a stranger. Always meet in a public place. And ladies, don't give your address. I hear guys a lot of times go, "So where do you live?" "Yeah, honey, I'm going to tell you where I live." My dad said, "You know what you say? When you get the invitation, you'll know. Don't bring anyone into your house. No, unless there's an engagement ring." It shouldn't even matter where you live, okay? And it shouldn't matter where he lives. And you shouldn't be targeting just people in your neighborhood. Basically, what you're saying is God has a divine plan to only make you connect with your neighbor. Matter of fact, if you look into history, it's more beneficial to be connecting with someone across the border because if you're always within your own community, you're going to have children that have deficiencies because you're interbreeding. Don't interbreed. Mix it up. Mix it up a little bit. Okay? There's less chances of the genes crossing where you're, you know, connecting with a distant cousin than if you're connecting with somebody from the other side of the world. And maybe someone from the other side of the world may have better values too. Okay. Do not discredit a long distance relationship. Many long distance relationships have been successful. And matter of fact, people that do have a long distance relationship, they value their time better. They're not in each other's face and they're slowly getting to know each other. And when they see each other, they make the most of it. And I think that is what's even more important, that you're valuing your time as opposed to hooking up with someone and you're like, okay, what are we going to watch tonight? And speaking of what you're watching tonight, people, how they use their television converter, that's how they're using the dating app. They're swiping left on all these people and they just think, instant, don't like this, don't like that. But here's some other red flags. If a guy writes on his dating profile, we'll fill it out later, what does that say about him? Basically, what he's saying is he isn't taking this seriously. He doesn't even have 5 minutes to fill out his profile. So he doesn't care. He doesn't care what he gets. He doesn't care what you think. He's already a mystery and he's already a problem. Okay. Um, another, I'd be a little bit concerned, a guy when he has all of his pictures about his dog. Okay. I saw a guy here today when I was doing my research on the dating apps. A guy had his dog on his head and he's smiling and all that. You going to want to be sleeping between him and the dog? You better love that dog as much as he does. There's some people that will love their dog and their mother more than you. And if you're the type of woman that can tolerate that, all the power to you. But if you want to be number one, a dog really should come secondary. Like for me, I had a dog, but I put a human being before my dog. I love my dog, but I'm going to treat a man differently than I would treat the dog. Okay. And if you're not, and you're dressing up the dog in clothes and treating it like a real child, it might be a little bit too fanatic. Okay. Because you want to be number one. If a man's going to make the dog and his mother number one, they say once you're in a relationship, he's got to cut the umbilical cord from his mother. If his mother is still number one in his life, then he's looking for a replacement mother. And that could be a problem too. So, what other red flags do we want to look at? Okay, let's see. If a guy has pictures of himself looking bored, like he's in his car, I have 14,000 pictures just on my new phone. If he doesn't have pictures other than looking bored in his car, he doesn't have a life. Okay. You want to see a guy that is at his sporting events, he's at his business, he's showing his culture, he's doing things, he's traveling. This guy is busy and he has a life. You don't want a deadbeat, or maybe you do. I don't. Okay. And also, don't be so fussy about location unless you're poor and you can't travel. Okay. Or, then you should find a guy that has money and comes to see you. But don't be worried so much about location and don't be so caught up with age, because there are people that are 15 years older, 17 years old, 20 years older than you, and they got a mentality of a 16-year-old. And there are people that are 20 years old that are very mature. When I was 16, 18 years old, I was looking at guys that were 10, 15 years older than me. Now I'm looking 10, 15 years younger because I want a youthful person that is vibrant. I don't want somebody that, is laying watching television all day. Okay. So ultimately, do not let the age really be a gauge. Age, not a gauge. Okay. If you're wanting kids, maybe there's something to look into, but men can have kids well into their 70s. Okay. Your main thing, if you're looking for a serious relationship, is to see what he does for a living. Is he a good provider? What is his career? And also be mindful, they can lie. There are men that lie. Behind this phone, you do not know who that is. Okay. So I saw a guy that couldn't spell at all, but he's got a master's degree. Probably not the case. Okay. And says, he loves wine. I would text and say, oh, so what is your favorite wine? And if he says Marlot, then you could say, oh, from what region? If he can't get into that, then he's not an enthusiast in that. He's just trying to find a girl that's a drunk that he can drink with. Okay. So if he's into cars, for example, you may want to ask, oh, is that a V8 in that vehicle, whatever. See what he's knowledgeable about, because he could just be pulling your chain. He could just be lying to you. Okay. And you're going to be getting more feedback. But the most important thing to keep in mind is asking where he has a club membership, gym membership, if he joins a golf club, if he belongs to a church. This is important. Now, sometimes you'll hear people turn around and say, oh, anyone that belongs to a religious group, I'm not one of those. Well, I'll tell you something. Anyone that goes to a bar Friday and Saturday night, or even once a week, that's a religion. You're spending hundreds of dollars. You're with a clan, all in the same mindset, and you're around what you want your environment to be. So just because someone has a religious value, I will not knock them. Doesn't matter what their religion is, as long as they're not trying to change someone's point of view or condemn somebody or injure somebody. Who cares what they believe in? Who cares what they believe in? As long as they believe in something. If they are a God-fearing man, that's better for you, because he may not go out and cheat and think, oh, well, you know what? I'm a man and I can do what I want. And, there's no repercussion because I've got one life. Someone that's God fearing will think about it and say, I'm going to be mindful how I, go about handling, this relationship, because I don't want bad karma. I don't want this woman, upset and coming after me. I mean, there are real crazy women out there. Jodi Arias, Bobbit Case. I mean, there are women that when you tell them that they're the one and then you go out and cheat, they're going to cut it off. In some countries, a crime of passion is just like, oh, well, it's like, you misled the wrong person. Okay. How many times crimes of passion there's been, and the people get off of murder. So be very careful who you engage with. You know, there's three things that you cannot change in somebody. If somebody's on drugs, mental instability, or has any other addiction, you will never be first, and you can never convince them otherwise. So those are things that, keep that in mind. Someone with addictions, unless you have addictions yourself and you two want to help each other, be very careful, because they have a tempting mistress that will always come before you, and that's drugs and alcohol. So, and in a dating site, if he's showing pictures of him partying and drinking all the time, that's already an indicator. If he only has 3 pictures and 2 of them is of him drunk, looking like, partying, what's he telling you? It's party time. And if you don't want that, then you may not want to swipe right. Okay. Also, look at how a guy's dressed. If he's wearing his track clothes and he's posting that on the dating site looking like a bum, darling, he is not going to be able to provide for you. He did not even have one picture out of his entire phone of him in a suit or a half decent outfit with a nice dress shirt. No. And what is it with all these men with beards? Is it during COVID that they all have a beard? I mean, have razors become like toilet paper? They're not accessible? Why wouldn't people want to kiss a smooth face? Anyways, just a note. Anyways, they're making themselves look 20 years older. Why not look young and youthful? No one looks young and youthful here. Okay. Now, the other thing is, a paid dating site might even be better, because they're investing into what they're doing, and they may take it a lot more serious. Okay. They may take it a lot more serious. A dating site that gives them 24 hours to respond and it finds out where the local area is may not be the best, because they're just going to find hoochie coochie around the corner that's giving it up for free. Okay. You don't want to mess with a guy like that. A guy that's meeting women all the time, especially during COVID. Now's the time to get to know somebody through texting, and hopefully, maybe do some Skype or, on your iPhone, but you definitely want to have a conversation before you meet somebody. That tells a lot. You may not even like his voice. If he has a raspy voice like this, you don't want to be beside that for the rest of your life. You want a nice, calm voice that you resonate with, okay? That makes you feel happy, happy, happy. You want to feel good, okay? And that's why sometimes they say, you know, cultures will they feel more comfortable with each other because they have that same tone, they have that same familiarity. But familiarity doesn't always mean chemistry. So don't get caught up on that either, that you have to have somebody that is your nationality. Be a little bit open minded. I know that, sometimes food and culture could be a big deal breaker or religion, and I agree with you. But do not close your mind completely, because you could find a hell of a man that'll love you that is very different from you. You don't have to have the same interest. I mean, people that are turning around and saying, "Oh, I like movies and I like sports." How is that a gauge that this person is the man for you? No. And the biggest thing to run from, if a guy turns around and says, "If you like pizza, then you're the girl for me." I've seen that before. "If you like tacos, the first round is on me." So basically he's saying that his standards are so low. Any woman that likes pizza. Well, I don't know any woman that doesn't like pizza. Okay. So you're really willing to take anybody. Not good. The first thing I write on my dating app would be, if you can't wash your hands before and after you eat, swipe left. You could be a mechanic. If you have dirty nails, I don't want to see you again. Hygiene, most important, especially during COVID time. If you haven't learned how to wash your hands before and after, I've seen men that'll order a hamburger after they pay with money, and they're digging in this burger and it's got cheese even on it all over the place, licking their fingers. Ugh. Why would you want to be with an animal like that? Okay. Money, it's not like in Japan where they wash money. Here, people are snorting cocaine with bills and everything, dirty, people on the street picking up money and like, no, you do not want to be touching money and then licking your fingers. Not good. Then you're wondering why people are catching all these diseases. Okay. Hygiene, very important. If that's not even in your profile, you better forget it, because you're going to deal with the dirty. You can't train a man. What are you going to start training him to wash his hands? His mother didn't even train him, and you're going to start training him? He has to come trained already. I don't want to start training a man. Who wants to train a man? He has to be trained already by his mother. If his mother hasn't trained him, you don't need to train a man. You want a man that hygiene, clean, has a job, has got it going on. Okay. And that will reflect in his pictures and in his conversation. And you need to start asking some pointed questions. Okay. If he's turning around and saying, "Oh, so what are you having for lunch?" Who cares? You shouldn't have to turn around and tell him what you're having for lunch. You have a mother or friends to tell them what you're having for lunch. Okay. So let's keep the conversation with a man where it's something of interest or it's important, and you're getting to know a little bit more details about the guy. Okay. And never reveal where you live. That is the biggest point. And you do not have to answer his questions. You're a woman. You could turn around and say, "You know what, I don't feel comfortable revealing it at that time, but I look forward to, in the future." Or, is there something else we could change the subject? Okay. Do not be telling him where you went to school and where's your neighborhood and where's your gym. You can ask those questions if he wants to answer, because, unless you're a stalker, you're not going to do as much damage to him in the beginning as he could possibly do to you. So, ladies, be a little bit more, secretive in the beginning, and do not put a high res picture of yourself on the dating site and showing it all. Okay. Have a 72 DPI picture. No one can do anything with that, you know, and don't put your best pictures out there. Put your average pictures, because then if he sees all you fancy at your max, then when you finally want to impress him, he's not going to see anything familiar. He's going to expect that all the time. Be an average girl. Average girl, men love an average woman. You don't want to look too high maintenance. And ultimately, I will always say the best way is to meet somebody in person and to feel that energy. Because if you believe in a higher being or in God, or if you have any religious values, you will know that there's serendipity, and people are meant to cross at a certain time, and people come into your life for a reason. So swiping through 1,000 men doesn't always give you success. It's just, you know, cre- spending time with someone temporarily. And ultimately, you should be valuing your time and finding someone that's more aligned with you so you don't waste your youth. You should be finding the best man possibly for you. And the best man possibly for you would be basing on your values and your beliefs and the direction that you feel that you're going in life. If you feel that you want to have children, and you want this type of man, then that's what you should be looking for. Okay. And you should even be putting in your profile, I'm hoping to settle down and have 3 kids one day. Say it. Because at least this way you're not going to be wasting time with a guy that's just trying to sex you and then throw you away because he's got 20 other women lined up there. Not good. you know don't end up being the woman that makes out with the guy and ends up crying, wondering what happened because you met him on a dating site. Okay. Do not feel you're the only one, because you're not. And that's why a guy that really has it going on, I can't see would be on a dating site. Maybe on a matchmaker, on a higher level, maybe. But even then, a guy that really has it going on doesn't need to sort through a dating site. Okay. Let's make this very clear. Okay. And if you've got it really going on, you're meeting people on a regular basis, you don't need to be on a dating site. Okay. People are on dating sites now because of COVID, and we're bored, and we just want to connect with somebody because we're lacking that human connection. And I get it. Okay. But be very careful what you give out. I don't want to hear any bad stories. I want to hear good stories. And at the end of the day, you want it to be fruitful, and you want to have a good experience, not a bad experience. So keep it safe, and see you on the next one. Bye for now.